Once upon a time, there was a woman named Sari who was expecting a baby. She was busy with her daily chores when, out of nowhere, she started experiencing internal bleeding. Panic set in, and she collapsed on the floor, desperately calling out for her husband, Makmur. Unfortunately, he was nowhere to be found because, at that very moment, he was off in a distant land fighting in a war. Talk about bad timing, Makmur. You chose war over being in the labor room. Nice priorities. Now, let's shift the scene to Makmur, surrounded by his war buddies, Sola Supra, Fazul, and Jaka. While the gang was cracking jokes and lightening the tense atmosphere, Makmur was gazing wistfully at a photo of Sari. With a deep sigh, he reminded everyone that his wife was waiting for him at home, about to give birth to their child. "We need to wrap this up and get back," he declared passionately. His friends, pumped up by his words, prepared themselves for battle. It's amazing how one man's marital guilt can inspire a whole squad to fight harder. While Makmur and his friends dove headfirst into the war, back at home, Sari successfully gave birth to their baby. In a surreal twist, she started calling out Makmur's name so loudly that it sent chills down the spines of her neighbors. Everyone locked their doors and windows, leaving the village eerily silent. You know you're loud when you scare an entire neighborhood into hiding. Meanwhile, the war raged on. Makmur and his friends dodged bullets, got wounded, but miraculously survived. When the battle ended, they set off for their respective villages, with Makmur's village being the first stop. The plan was simple: drop him off and then head to their own homes. When they arrived at Makmur's village, they were shocked. The place was deserted, and every door was shut tight. The once lively streets were now eerily quiet. Makmur couldn't help but think, was it something I said? Or maybe they heard about my track record of showing up late. As they reached Makmur's house, even the boatman who had ferried them there got so spooked by the strange vibes that he bolted, leaving Makmur's friends scratching their heads. Inside the house, Sari greeted Makmur with tears of joy. "I thought you'd never come back," she exclaimed, hugging him tightly. But when her eyes fell on the bullet wound wrapped in a bandage on his stomach, she gasped. Makmur, on the other hand, noticed something else entirely: Sari's flat stomach. His heart sank. He began to cry, thinking she had lost a baby. But then, to his surprise, she brought out their son. Overwhelmed with happiness, Makmur hugged his child. "What's his name?" he asked. Sari proudly announced Kipluk, which just so happened to be Makmur's favorite name. Let's take a moment to appreciate how Makmur somehow convinced his wife to name their kid after what sounds like a Wi-Fi password. Makmur's friends, standing outside, overheard the name and burst out laughing. Eventually, they came inside, where Makmur introduced Sari to them. Sola, the smooth talker of the group, seemed particularly thrilled to meet her. "Do you have a sister?" he blurted out. Classic Sola, always shooting his shot, even in the weirdest scenarios. Makmur couldn't resist roasting Sola. "Sari's not just beautiful. She's the reigning champion of our village's beauty contests," he teased, earning chuckles from everyone. The group was having a great time until someone reminded them about the runaway boatman. Now stranded, they were unsure where to go. But Sari, always resourceful, showed them a cozy spot near the house where they could stay. Everyone loved the idea, and they settled in for the night. And so, the war buddies turned house guests shared a hearty laugh, ate together, and celebrated life, proving that even in chaos, love and humor always prevail. But let's not forget, if it weren't for Sari's brains and charm, Makmur and his friends might still be wandering aimlessly, looking for a clueless boatman. One evening, Sari and Makmur were talking. Sari got all serious and asked, "What would have happened if something bad happened to me?" Makmur, trying to sound cool, said, "If I died, I'd come back as a ghost to check on you." And Kipluk, Sari shot back, "What if I died waiting for you?" Makmur, scrambling, said, "Good thing none of that happened." Makmur's ghost plan? Clearly, his afterlife strategy needs work. Maybe even ghosts would run from his awkwardness. Later that night, Sola woke up, convinced she saw a shadow. She panicked, woke everyone up, and screamed that there was a ghost. But nope, it was just Jaka having a bad dream. They shook him awake, but he kept yelling about ghosts. Everyone ignored him. Classic Jaka. Even his dreams caused drama. The next day, Makmur decided to take his friends to the market to buy groceries so Sari could cook something delicious. They spotted a boatman, Mr. Sasab, passing by, but when Sasab saw them, he turned his boat around like he'd seen the plague. Guess Sasab preferred rowing away over sharing his precious boat with these freeloaders. Left with no choice, the group paddled themselves to the market. On the way, Fazil swore he saw a woman, Sati, holding a child, but poof, she vanished. When they got to the market, people acted super weird, especially Mr. Vivid, the vegetable vendor. Makmur asked for veggies, and Vivid handed over everything without taking a single coin, muttering, "Anything for Sari's happiness." Free veggies? Guess Makmur accidentally invented the haunted house discount. They met a shaman named Soapy, who warned them, "You're living with a ghost. You'll all die soon." Makmur laughed and said, "She's always drunk." Don't take her seriously. Bold move, Makmor, mocking the only person who might actually know what's going on. But later, the gang got nervous. Sola decided to spy on Sari, convinced she was a ghost. He saw her picking up a knife, freaked out, and thought she was coming to kill him. Turns out, she just needed banana leaves. Sola, the brave spy, ready to run from a cooking utensil. Bravo. Meanwhile, Jaka and Supra were whispering about ghosts, saying, "What if Kipluk is a ghost too?" Makmor overheard, holding Kipluk in his arms. "How can my adorable son be a ghost?" he said, handing the baby to Supra. Supra and Jaka, distracted, didn't realize what they were holding wasn't Kipluk, but a piece of wood. Congratulations, guys. You just tried parenting a log. One day, Sola went to pluck some leaves and ended up bumping into Fazl. Of course, Sola freaked out like Fazl was some kind of ghost and quickly ran off. Sola, your bravery is truly an inspiration, running away from your friend like he's a haunted vegetable. After Sola left, Fazl discovered a skeleton buried in the ground. He noticed a shiny ring on the skeleton's hand and, instead of thinking, "Oh, cool artifact," he screamed like he was auditioning for a horror movie. To make things worse, he disturbed some bees, which decided to attack him for trespassing. By the time his friends found him, Fazl's face looked like he lost a fight with a swarm of angry clouds. Unable to speak, Fazl wrote on a piece of paper, "There's a ghost." Naturally, everyone panicked. Fazl, if bees and skeletons scare you this much, maybe nature isn't your thing. Makmor showed up to call everyone for dinner. They wanted to leave, but Makmor insisted they stay because Sari had cooked. "Who leaves good food?" he said, and walked off confidently. Typical Makmor, choosing food over fear. At least he's consistent. The others reluctantly followed, still trembling like leaves in a storm. When they sat down to eat, they realized the food had insects and spiders in it. But guess who didn't notice? Makmor, the love-struck foodie, happily munched away. Love might be blind, but Makmor? He's blind, deaf, and taste bud deficient at this point. The others watched in horror as he enjoyed his creepy-crawly meal. After dinner, Makmor went to get dessert. While he was gone, the group saw Sadie near their hut. Sadie warned them not to interfere in her business with her husband, scaring them even more. When Makmor returned, Sari told him they had all left. Confused, Makmor asked why, and Sari revealed that, like the villagers, she believed everyone around them was a ghost. The friends debated how to tell Makmor the truth, but just as they started, someone knocked on the door. They opened it. No one was there. As they closed the door, Makmor appeared, looking disappointed. "You're no better than the villagers," he said. "I thought we were friends, but you've proved me wrong." Ouch, Makmor. Guess even ghosts can't haunt harder than emotional damage. Furious, he stormed off. The scene shifted to Makmor and Sari visiting a carnival. Sari wore a mask to avoid scaring anyone, or maybe herself. She made Makmor promise that if she died first, he would move on, marry another woman, and start a family. Makmor shut her down immediately, saying they should focus on the present instead of thinking about nonsense. Nice try, Sari, but Makmor barely handles current meals. You expect him to plan future weddings? Meanwhile, the four friends decided to visit the village shaman, Soapy, for help. Soapy, already knowing their problem, probably from all their screaming earlier, handed them a packet of sticky black rice. She explained, "Throw this rice at the ghosts and it'll hurt them." The friends took the rice with newfound hope, ready to face whatever came next. Soapy stopped the group and said, "Hold on. Nothing comes for free. If you want this sticky black rice, someone has to kiss me." The group groaned, but they had no choice. Soapy picked Supra, who had no way out. Poor Supra, the ultimate sacrificial lamb, now forever traumatized by his lip lock with Soapy. Someone get him therapy. Meanwhile, Sari and Makmor ventured into a haunted house. Makmor was trembling like a leaf, but Sari was as calm as ever. It was like Sari had ice in her veins, while Makmor probably needed a diaper change. On their way, they met some fake ghosts trying to scare them, but as soon as they saw Sari, they bolted. Apparently, Sari is scarier than anything in that haunted house. Someone should hire her for Halloween. Makmor's four friends secretly followed them to the haunted house and saw them together. While Sari was distracted, they grabbed Makmor, knocked him out, and carried him off to avoid any trouble. They ate the sticky black rice, thinking it would give them power, and planned to deal with Sari. But when they tried to confront her, they got terrified themselves. Big talkers, but when Sari shows up, they're nothing but scaredy cats. They panicked, tossed the rice at her, and ran like their lives depended on it. Unfortunately, the rice had no effect on Sari. Either they bought a defective product, or Sari's just built different. As they ran, Makmor regained consciousness and asked what was going on. His friends stammered, claiming they were trying to save him from his wife. That made Makmor furious. "Save me? From my wife? You guys aren't saviors. You're just jealous idiots who can't mind their own business." He stormed off but soon doubled over in pain from an old wound. Talk about karma hitting back instantly. While they tended to Makmor, Jaka mentioned something creepy. The skeleton Fazil had seen was wearing a wedding ring just like Sari's. Suddenly, a wild theory emerged. What if Makmor was a ghost? Plot twist alert. This went from a ghost story to a murder mystery real quick. The group decided to test their theory by throwing sticky rice at Makmor. It worked. Makmor screamed in pain. The group freaked out and ran straight to Sari. These guys switched sides faster than a cheap politician during election season. They told her Makmor was a ghost, and they needed to escape immediately. Hopping into a boat, they tried to row away, but water started filling the boat. They dumped everything overboard, only to find Makmor swimming toward them. He climbed aboard, angry and dripping wet. He yelled at them, saying he wasn't a ghost. The wedding ring was Sari's, which he had turned into a necklace. As for the rice, it just hurt because they'd thrown it on his wound. Great job, guys. You turned my injury into a barbecue. Want some ketchup with that? To confirm there were no ghosts, Jaka performed an Indonesian ritual. He bent over and looked between his legs. Seriously, Jaka? That's your scientific method? Next time, just get a ghost detector app on your phone. But to their surprise, the ritual confirmed there were no ghosts. Makmor wasn't dead, and Sari wasn't a ghost. The group sighed in relief but couldn't shake off the embarrassment. From kissing Soupy to accusing their friend of being a ghost, this crew redefined bad decision-making. Jaka looked around nervously, and one by one, everyone started looking like ghosts to him. Let's be real, this guy was already halfway to losing his mind. Ghost or not, his imagination deserved an award for most dramatic overreaction. But surprise, they were actual ghosts. Jaka screamed like a toddler, and Sari, annoyed, just stretched out her hand and shut his mouth. Zip it, drama queen. Ghosts don't appreciate noisy snacks. Terrified, everyone ran from the haunted area and reached the shore. Poor Fazil didn't know how to swim, but fear apparently unlocked his hidden talent, because he somehow managed to get to the shore anyway. Imagine if swimming lessons had fear instructors. Here's a ghost, now swim. Meanwhile, Makmor, being the heroic fool he was, still wanted to go back to Sari. Why? Because he'd promised her he'd stand by her through thick and thin. Thick and thin? Bro, this is life and death. Get your priorities straight. His friends had had enough of his nonsense. They beat him up and knocked him unconscious, so he wouldn't go back to his ghostly wife. Talk about friendship goals. We care about you, so here's a concussion. The group kept moving and stumbled upon Soupy, the shaman from the lake. But surprise, Soupy wasn't alive. He'd been drowned by none other than Sari for helping them earlier. Looks like Sari doesn't do refunds or forgiveness. Desperate for help, they went to Soupy's twin brother, another shaman. But Soupy's spirit decided it wasn't done with the drama and entered his twin's body. Through his twin, Soupy explained the 4 ways they could escape the ghost. 1. Black sticky rice. Yep, the same one they'd been tossing around like confetti. 2. Juice from a special flower. 3. A magical wooden sword that could send ghosts to the afterlife. 4. A rope coated in chicken blood to protect humans from ghosts. Now the group finally understood why everyone in the village freaked out when Sari showed up. Turns out, the whole village knew the truth about her. Late at night, her ghostly screams had been terrifying everyone. And remember when Makmor said the village wasn't always so deserted? Yeah, it became a ghost town literally because of Sari. Let's just agree that Makmor has the worst luck in picking romantic partners. The shaman made a protective border to keep them safe and called Sari into the circle. She appeared, glaring at them with fiery eyes. They tried all the methods one by one. Sticky rice, flower juice, the magic sword, but nothing worked. Sari stood there, unfazed. At this point, she was probably thinking, is that all you've got? I've seen scarier things on reality TV. Realizing they were outmatched, the shaman, with Soupy's spirit inside, decided he was out of there. He slipped through a narrow alley and left the group to fend for themselves. Classic move. I gave you instructions, now good luck not dying. Bye. Now it was just Sari, her ghostly rage, and Makmor's 4 unlucky friends. Sari decided that if she got rid of them, she could finally live peacefully with Makmor. Peacefully? Sis, you're a ghost haunting an entire village. Peaceful isn't exactly your vibe. Sari started attacking Makmor's friends, ready to kill them. But Makmor jumped in to stop her. He pleaded, saying they were only trying to help. He told her if she kept killing people, she'd be called evil. Spoiler alert. Sorry, honey, the whole murders ghosting kinda already sealed that title. Makmor went full romantic hero mode, saying he didn't mind dying if it meant he could be with her in the afterlife. But Sari, softening up, said she could never hurt him. She loved him too much. That's when Makmor dropped the bombshell. He already knew she was a ghost. Wait, so this guy has been playing house with a ghost and just roll with it? Who hurt you, Makmor? Turns out, he knew from the start but didn't care because he'd already lost her once and couldn't bear to lose her again. He did everything she wanted, including feeding her bugs, because he loved her deeply. Mockmore, bro, you're out here setting new standards for simping. This emotional moment had even Sorry, the ghost, crying. She realized it was time for her to go to the afterlife, and for Mockmore to move on. Now, about the kid they had together. Was the kid real? Or was it another ghost? Honestly, Mockmore's life is already so weird. I wouldn't be surprised if the kid turned out to be a shadow puppet. But regardless of the mystery, Mockmore was weirdly happy about the whole child situation. He begged Sorry to spare his friends, and she agreed. For one last moment, Mockmore hugged Sorry. His friends, feeling bad for everything he'd been through, hugged him too. Because nothing says we're sorry for your tragic ghost wife drama like a big group hug. They reflected on how Mockmore couldn't come back to his wife during the war. But the real mystery was why the villagers never helped her when she was alive. Maybe they were too scared to come near her, or maybe her pregnancy had complications, which is why she couldn't be saved. Whatever the reason, Mockmore finally understood that Sorry was gone and he needed to move on, or spend his life regretting that he couldn't help her. Honestly, Mockmore, therapy might be a better starting point than dating again. And just like that, the story ended. Moral of the story: if your wife turns into a ghost and starts eating bugs, maybe reconsider your life choices. But hey, at least Mockmore got some closure, sorta.